What's up, everybody? It's been a little while, but it's me, your girl Anu here. I am back with Just Keep Jamming. Can you believe it? It is episode number 30 right now. 30, dirty 30, flirty 30. Can't believe it. This is incredible. Congratulations for listening this long. Congratulations for me lasting this long. To all my Patreon Zoom peeps in the Zoom room. What's up, you guys? How you doing? I am so excited about today's episode. I brought in a dear, special person. She doesn't even know how much of an influence she is in my life because I just am obsessed with all that she brings energy-wise to the table, especially through yoga. But she's also a practitioner of astrology and a soul guide coach. Oh, her name is Sandy Beach. Can I get a whoop whoop? What's up, Sandy?
Woo woo! What's up?
Oh, yes, queen. So happy that you're here. Thank you so much for doing this. We had talked about you coming on for a while, but it's actually happening.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so stoked. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to just cruise and talk story and just dive a little more into something that I know is important to both of us, which is just our mental health and being the best versions of ourselves and staying grounded in this crazy life. So I'm stoked to be here.
Yes, queen. So happy you're here. I always let the guests do this. Just take a few minutes, maybe like a minute to a minute and a half, and just go off about yourself. Just give us the basic general. Where are you from? What do you do? How did you come to Hawaii? Maybe how did we meet each other? And then I'll ask you more questions after that.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So my name is Sandy. I go by Sandy Beach here on the Big Island. And I lived on the Big Island for about 4 years now, which is crazy when I say it out loud because it feels like I just came to the Big Island like yesterday. But I lived on Oahu and Maui for the better part of 10 years and was originally born in Seoul, South Korea. My father is military and my mother is Korean. So they met over there and had me. And then I came back to the States when I was young. So being a military child, we moved around quite a bit. So it's not really one childhood place that I can pinpoint that I was raised, but Hawaii has always felt like home just because this is where I've spent most of the years of my life. So I am a yoga teacher here on the Big Island. I teach hot yoga and different lineages of yoga, including Bikram and Vinyasa. And I'm also an astrologer, a massage therapist here on the island, and a soul growth coach, which basically just combines all of those things together to help people align with their purpose and find their highest self and live the best, most harmonious, peaceful, happy, healthy life that they can in this body. And I love the work that I do. I absolutely love it. And that's how I met Anu, was through yoga. And I've worked with her since, and that's been amazing. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy to be here. I never thought the Big Island would be home, but the universe is funny that way. And here I am, and I honestly could not be happier. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be, exactly
Oh my gosh.
at the right time in my life. So very stoked.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. And then to think like your life made you here during this pivotal point in history with the pandemic and everything. Like you had 2 years of, but luckily yoga stayed open during that time, which had been such a like sacred place for me. Like, I don't know what I would have done without that place. Like I've fallen in love with yoga. Like anytime I can go to her, like I'll look where's her classes. Like I'll go to hers. She just has this soothing, calming energy about her. Her instructions are very clear. You don't even need to like look, you can be in your own little meditative state and you're not like looking, oh, how is she doing it? Because her words are so descriptive and where you're supposed to put your bodies. And yeah. And then of course, just being in that Zen room. You've even done stuff like with chakras. Remember that one night you brought in the different, I think, candles to represent, which is so educational for me too. And then furthermore, we got together because you had kind of been like, good, Anu, I'm feeling some energies from you. I feel like I want to help you with a reading or something, astrology wise. And so we ended up meeting up, and sure enough, you did my reading, and I have all the paperwork still right here.
Yeah, girl.
It's very like, it's very, I don't even know. I guess the word is complicated. Like I had no idea it was this, I don't know, in depth. Like
that your soul was that complex. Yeah.
Complex. Yes, that's the word. And yeah, like the rulers, my big three, like you took the exact time of my birth. And I don't know, I was very educated because of what you had taught me, but I think a lot of people are very curious to learn even more. So I would love to touch on that a little bit in our conversation today. But before we get to that, I felt like it would kind of be good to get to know you a little more, because I got to learn about your healing journey when you came to my house for that 22 for 2022 party. We did something kind of similar to this, where we all take turns just sharing our 22 goals for the year. And we're mostly strangers. Like all the people in there really didn't know each other. So it was, everyone was a little out of their comfort zone. But Sandy shared, something very personal to her, but just about her healing journey. Do you want to share with these people? It was inspiring.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of my, I guess, story, which I try not to attach too much to our stories, but we are human and we do have stories that make us who we are. And right now, a big part of my story is the fact that I am where I am because of a massive healing journey that I've been on, that I like to think the universe kind of like threw me on and I've been writing ever since. And it involves yoga and holistic health, but really the biggest point, I guess, the pivotal point in my healing journey was when I became very, very sick. My symptoms started in, I'd say about 2016. And by 2018, I was almost completely disabled. And that has changed my life completely. So I manage several conditions, which, by name, they're all kind of similar. But I have fibromyalgia and an autoimmune disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which affects kind of every system in your body. And so with these types of illnesses, oftentimes you spend years going to doctors just trying to find answers, even just trying to find a diagnosis to even know what you're dealing with for quite some time. That can drag on. And for me, it dragged on quite a bit. I worked in the corporate world for many years. I was successful working for one of the biggest travel websites in the world. And I had a great career. And from the outside, I was doing really good. And on the inside, I was just dying inside. I was not happy. My soul was not aligned with what I was supposed to be doing. And the more I did what you were supposed to do to feel successful and to feel well, the worse I felt. And that eventually I ignored my soul's calling. And that eventually manifested in my physical body. And I became very, very sick. And then I became sicker and sicker. And that's how I got to the Big Island, was kind of running out of ideas of how I was going to make it, really. So I moved in with family here on the island. At the time, I was living on Maui. And that has completely shaped my entire life, because the end of 2018, I went to a doctor, one of many doctors, and they just kept telling me things like, oh, it's just in your head, or maybe if you had a better attitude, you would feel better. Or I had one doctor say, oh, you're pretty, everything will be fine, and asked me if I needed a prescription for pain pills. Oh, yeah.
OMG.
So as you can imagine, mentally, like when you're so sick and you're in so much pain and you're in your 30s and an age where you're not supposed to feel like that, you start to really mentally start to crash. I was depressed. I had severe PTSD, anxiety. And so the end of 2018, I just said, I think I'm going to die if I don't do something. So I'm just going to ignore all the doctors. I'm going to ignore anyone who doesn't give me support or love or believes what I'm going through. And I'm going to do everything I can to get better, because if I don't, I'm not sure I'm going to make it. So I joined a bunch of support groups on line, actually, which really helped change my life. I started, discussing things with 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 people that had the same conditions as me in these groups. And I found that I felt this camaraderie with people who got me, who understood the pain I was going through, and also had these useful tools and ideas of what to do because they were living it. So I went on a radical change the beginning of 2019. I completely changed my diet, and diet is still a huge staple of my health journey. I removed anything from my life that was toxic. And I mean food, I mean chemicals, I mean people, relationships, the frequencies around me. I still live where I moved when I was really sick, which is kind of like on a farm in the boonies, because I just thought I need to remove everything and start from square one and heal myself. So from there, I little by little started getting better. 2019, I started getting my life back. 2020, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm feeling better. I can probably start working again. Cause there was a time where I was like bedridden for maybe 2 or 3 months. It was pretty unbelievable. So 2020 came and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting better. I'm figuring this out. And all these tools I've learned, I really should start sharing with people, because it's not fair that people have to live with these conditions and, live in such terrible pain and suffering. And then the pandemic happened. So that changed the trajectory of everything I have been working on. And I thought, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I've been clawing my way back to life. And now the pandemic happened. And so I definitely had my own, emotional distress with that. My mental health struggled quite a bit. And that turned out to be a huge blessing in disguise because I took that and made it work in my benefit. And I started training more in yoga. I did 2 teacher trainings online that year in the pandemic, a total of 500 hours. And I advanced my yoga teachings to be able to start teaching different types of yoga. So I kind of took that whole situation and tried to change it the best I could. So here I am now living a life that's completely different than one I would have ever imagined if you would have asked me 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. But a lot of it is shaped because I have learned that what my body needs, what I need to be happy and healthy, and what I need to do to make sure I have that in my life. So now that's my passion and my work and my living, my life, my purpose. Is to share that with anyone and everyone who will listen or who needs advice or who needs an ear or who just needs support, who is going through things physically or energetically even where they just need someone to talk to or to understand the things that they're going through that maybe doctors shun or their family discards or, it's just, I found a really great purpose, it feels like. So taking something that was pretty life altering at the time. I mean, just terrible. It was just the hardest chapter of my life. But now I can look back and I know I would not be where I am without it. So there's a part of me that can find gratitude for everything I've been through. But that's a little bit of how I got here and why I do the work that I do.
My gosh. I am just like in awe, right? Wasn't that just like the most amazing? Everything she's saying was like, we've had a subject on almost like an episode, an entire episode on almost each and every one of the amazing things that you've shared, just how your soul wasn't feeling like it was aligned and you needed to find your purpose. Like we've done exercises and life's purpose. And of course, this is our little support group, but I'm talking about keeping your boundaries up and eliminating the toxins, whether they're people or chemicals. And that's one thing that I really would like to explore more, which I haven't had the time to in my, humble healing journey, is the whole like diet. Like, I want to hear a little bit more about that. Like I've been eating whatever the heck I want. I mean, I took out alcohol out of my life for about 5 months for a bit there. And then it slowly started trickling back, but I'm, a mom and it's hard. I just eat my son's leftover lunch, peanut butter and jelly and Pringles. And I wonder
hey, I got a meal today. Yes.
I know, right? I'm like, I have the crust of your tuna sandwich. That's but I'm still not like skinny. I just wish I want to try that. I want to dedicate that part, for a bit of time. So tell us about like what kind of stuff you put in your body.
Sure. So food wise, when I was seeing doctors and I was seeking answers, what I kept getting was just vague suggestions on, I should focus on nutrition. And I had always been kind of like the earthy, crunchy one in the company and in the group my whole life. And I'd always thought I ate pretty healthy. So when they said, focus on your nutrition, I thought, well, I eat from the health food store. Like I eat mostly organic. Like, what do you mean? And they didn't really know what to say or what to tell me. So the diet that I found great success in and that I still follow is an elimination paleo diet. And What I've found to be true for people is that there's no black and white answer. There's no magic pill. There's no one way that if we discover it, we can sell it and, heal everyone. Everyone's body is so uniquely different. And the biodiversity between our bodies doesn't make one diet, I think, good for all or fit for all. However, with the diet that I use, that focus is to eliminate nearly any type of food that could be a trigger to you. And not just in the sense of like stomach aches, but these foods that are triggers to us, they affect our serotonin, our happy brain chemicals, our nervous system, every part of our body. So through that elimination diet, I kind of removed basically everything. I mean, I ate so strict and disciplined for about a year. And then slowly you start to reintroduce foods back in to see what is your trigger and what makes you sick and what doesn't. So I still follow that to a bit. But what I really found for me is that for brain health and neurological health, which is where I was suffering, my nerves, my nervous system with fibromyalgia, it affects, your central nervous system, is that I found eating healthy fats, high protein, and removing grains completely changed my life. And upon further research, when I started eating this way and I thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It was this easy. Like I just could have removed gluten and corn and felt like 40% better in a week. Like, I can't believe I didn't know this. And so I started researching. I thought, well, why does gluten make me sick? But so does corn in the same way. Like, they're not the same food. And how come soy makes me sick in the same way? That's different food groups. And I deduced it to it's really the chemicals in a lot of our foods and in the agriculture process, the way they're grown and harvested. They're sprayed with so many neurologically toxic chemicals that start to affect your gut lining. And then your gut lining is linked to your brain. And they're calling, the gut, the kind of like your second brain. And they're tying it to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease and all these neurological disorders. And I found that to be very true for me, in that when I removed all those foods, my gut healed, and then my brain healed, and then my body healed. So that's a little bit of the undertone of how I eat. But like I said, I feel like everyone should really be encouraged to explore what's best for them. But I do think at the root of that, a lot of these chemicals used in our foods, particularly processed foods, which is why I was so confused when doctors said, eat healthy. I'm like, well, I buy from the health food store, but it was still all processed, boxed things, canned things, bottled things, not just fresh, whole foods. And on top of that, organic, not using the chemicals that are sprayed on them. So that's kind of an ethos that I still follow today with the way that I eat. Basically, if it doesn't grow from the ground or come sustainably from an animal, I really question, what is it? Was it made in a laboratory, or was it provided by nature? And just that simple concept makes what's usually very complicated for people, which is diet and nutrition. That simple concept makes it a lot easier, I think, for me and for a lot of people, if you're trying to just look to make those initial changes and how can I eat better for myself? Just whittle it down to just the simple basics. Did it grow from the ground, or did it come sustainably from an animal? And if not, is it food, or is it a food-like substance? And just asking yourself that question, when you start eating and looking at food, it can start to really, if you let it, change your life, because you start to see how much of what we eat is not real food. It's created in a lab. Dude. And our bodies over time, they start to struggle with that. And some of us, that can lead to physical disease later in life. So that's kind of the foundation of how I eat.
I'm so inspired. And I couldn't help but just keep thinking about, as a mom, like, what am I feeding my child? Like, I just, go to Costco and Instacart, and, I have to pack him a lunch every day. And it's hard to come up with good meals for my kid. And sometimes I'll just throw in and I look at his lunchbox and it's like a sandwich, but then a bunch of other like prepackaged processed shit, like a granola bar, and then a this, and then a applesauce that comes in a plastic, container. There's so much plastic in there. And I'm like, dude, like, I really feel like I want to make a commitment. I feel like I owe it to myself. I feel like so many of us are feeling the same inspiration on this journey that we've all been on in our own individual ways and in our own reasons. Like, I've never really given the nutrition part, the diet part, just what I'm putting into my body, a real good chance. Like, I've heard a lot of amazing stories about that, like how mental health is very much connected to what you're putting in your body. I always just think of it as like alcohol or just eating, period. Like, don't starve yourself so you don't get hangry and like become a bitch. Like, but no, like, you could put in better food and just see what it does to your body. I mean, it's just, yeah, when
For
I'm
sure.
when I'm going through like phases, like right now I'm going through a phase, like I'm watching the weight just pack on my body. So I'm going through this like really weird emotional, like my grandma's dying. I'm dealing with a big breakup right now and just super emotional. And I'm watching myself just get bigger and bigger, no matter what. I'm not even really changing my diet too much. And I feel like that's an indicator right there. Like there's something happening in my body that's causing it to not be working properly for me. Oh, so you're inspiring me big time. I would love to talk more about that if that's one of the soul growth, categories that you do when you help people.
Yeah,
Maybe
totally. I actually just finished my nutrition health coaching program last month. So I'm super stoked about that. So that just gives me a framework to be able to start offering programs. So that's something that'll be coming soon. I'm working on it this summer and I want to launch by September. One-on-one coaching program.
I'm your client. I want to be one of your first clients. You can even experiment on me, girl, if you want to just mess around before September. I'm ready. No, I'm just
yes. I want to start adding this piece in because I know people look to me for like, yoga and massage and energetics and astrology, but also in just a very physical, practical, like earthly sense, the food is the medicine. And when we don't eat the things that we need, we can definitely become sick, but also to just even feel better than what we feel is our baseline good. If we improve our food, it really allows, it's like our body is a car, right? So if you put junk gas in, it runs weird. You put the best gas, it runs real smooth. You throw a bag of sugar in it, it's never going to run again. So it's a little similar in that we fuel it with what we feed it. So especially when it comes to our emotions, our mental health, anxiety, depression, I mean, everyone is dealing with this right now. Everybody has some form of some mental or emotional challenge we're working through. And then on top of it, we're eating these processed foods that are taxing our bodies and our brains and our emotions. So that's something I really hope to continue to bring light to, is that what we eat definitely affects our mood and how we manage these mental and emotional challenges that a lot of us are going through.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then my son too, like he's struggling in school a little bit right now with reading. He's a little behind than the other kids. So we actually just got him assessed for like dyslexia, and it doesn't seem to be that specifically, but like his, ADD, I'm watching him on the field and he's like chasing butterflies while all the other kids are pretty focused. And I'm like, I kind of refuse to believe that he's, he needs to be taking medication and that's the only solution, or he's just going to be one of those kids that doesn't pay attention. Like, I feel like maybe I can help him, if I, as his mother, like changed what I put into his little body, his little growing body. And like, he might not like it at first because he misses and he has the taste for this stuff, but that's my own damn fault for letting him, live this long and eating shitty. But if we can teach our kids a good foundation, it might be a little easier for him for the rest of his life. Sure. I'm gonna ask you to make me a shopping list, at least just to start, like,
no, totally.
What to buy,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to get more involved in that as I build my packages. But there's this documentary on Netflix. I think it's called The Magic Pill. I hope that's what it's called, and I'm not quoting it incorrectly, but it's a good one to check out because they follow case studies of a few different families. And one is a person with type 2 diabetes, and another is two children with who are slightly on the spectrum and ADHD. And they follow these case studies by changing them to a paleo or keto diet, which again, I'm not saying that's exactly what you need to do, but something in that sense where it's high fat, high protein, minimal grains. And you watch these people and these children and how much they change over the course of the filming of this documentary. It's really cool to check out. So I would recommend that for anyone interested in seeing the health impacts of eating in this style and how it really makes a difference, and not just like belly aches or stomach stuff, but the whole body.
I am so inspired right now. Thank you so much for sharing. I wanted to get a little more in depth just because I'm so curious, like, about your yoga practice. Like, what did you used to do yoga before, like when you were working at your big corporate thing, or is this was it a new passion of yours that now you've become such a, amazing?
Yeah, no. Oh, thank you. I've always loved yoga. When I was working in the corporate world, I worked all the time, like 40, 50 hour weeks. And then you're just so depleted from your work that your spare time is used eating, drinking, shopping, anything you can to feel good again. So I didn't really have the time that I wanted to explore yoga, but I really was like, whatever that is, I need to be doing that. Like, I know I'm going to feel good if I do that. So I started taking a couple classes in my corporate life when I could, fit it in here and there. And I loved it. It really resonated with me. I just couldn't find the time because I didn't have the strength at the time to break away from this corporate world. And then I went through a pretty major breakup, actually. It was heartbreak that led me to yoga in my mid-20s. And I took some time off and I went back to the North Shore in Oahu, which is where my heart considers home. And there's a yoga studio there in Wailua, a Bikram studio. And I thought, well, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I was really just emotionally, mentally, I was a wreck, And so I thought, okay, well, I'll make a deal with myself. I'm going to go to this hot yoga studio, and every morning I'm going to go take the 9 a.m. class. And then if I want to go back into bed and cry or feel sorry for myself or whatever I want to do, I'll give myself the green light to do that as long as I go take the class in the morning. And then I would do that. And of course you take the class and you're like, well, maybe I'll go get a smoothie now, I feel better. And then you're like, well, maybe I'll go to the beach. And then so I did that every day for 2 months. And I practiced Bikram yoga every day for 2 months. And it changed my life. And I haven't stopped practicing since. And then I continued along in the corporate world and thought, man, I really want to be a yoga teacher. And the responses I got from people were like, you want to give up your successful career to become a yoga teacher? And I was like, yeah, I do. So I really felt that calling. And so I finally went and did my first yoga teacher training in 2016 in Santa Barbara. It was a 500-hour training. So it was 2 months, 6 days a week, 10 to 14 hours a day. It changed my life. It changed my perspective on life. It was kind of the beginning of my healing journey, ascension path, because that was kind of my first foray into the things that my soul was saying, you need to go this way, despite what everything else is telling you, you need to go this way. So yeah, yoga's been in my life ever since. And then when the illness hit and then I was forced out of the corporate world, I thought, well, I can teach yoga. Maybe I should just start doing that on the side since I'm struggling working and with my health. And so I found, the studio here where we met and started teaching. And now I can't imagine my life not being a yoga teacher. It's one of the most rewarding things that I think you could do. To me, it's the highest honor because people coming into the studio, some people look at it like, oh, stretching or fitness or, lose weight. But to me, it's you guys coming into a space and trusting me with your soul and your energy for 60 to 90 minutes. And I can't think of a greater honor than that, really. So teaching is it's just one of the best parts of my day. I love yoga. And I know Anna knows that. I love yoga. She loves yoga. We're all just like, yay, yoga. Thank you for yoga.
It's something
sane and normal or normal-ish.
Right. Like, I just wonder, I don't, it's hard to pinpoint exactly the words that I'm trying to even express. Like, why do I love it so much? But the responsibility in Hawaiian, the word is kuleana, that I know that you as a teacher feel like you feel this obligation, but also this privilege, this honor to be the one responsible for, giving the people what they came here to receive, right? Like, we all go to this class, we all drive there because we know we're going to leave feeling better. So that's like your kuleana to lead us in that. And then every time I leave, it never fails. Like, it's always better. But I'm trying to figure out the words. Like, what is it? Is it a spiritual thing, right? Like, why do people love yoga so much?
Yeah, well, I think that's the beautiful part of it, is because there's some things about our experience as humans that there are no words for, because they're not really human in a sense. They're involving our spiritual body, our subtle body, those things that we can't see, that we can't hear, that we can't even explain, but we know it's there. And so I think with yoga, sometimes it's hard to find the words because maybe there are no words to really describe that essence of tuning into your soul and tuning into your energy, and then spending 60 to 90 minutes to literally lift that vibration. That's one of my teachers told me. He said, as a yoga teacher, your job is to assess the energy, the frequency of a room, and to lift it. And that's why at the end of class, everyone's energy is brighter, your frequency is lighter. So I think it's cute when you're like, what's the words? It's like, maybe it's so sacred that there are no words, it's just this holistic practice where, and by holistic, I mean, it connects every part of your being. So it's physical, obviously we're working our muscles and our joints. It's mental. Half of us go to just get out of our minds for an hour. It's emotional. It's spiritual. It affects every aspect of our being. So within that, it's just such a sacred practice that it's hard to pinpoint what the magic is. Some people call it yoga magic, just for a lack of words, because it's that thing you can't really pinpoint, but you can feel it. And because you can feel it, it's real. And those are the types of energies that I love supporting people in exploring, what you can feel within that maybe you can't explain or that other people might not get, but and that's a really special connection, I think, when we can start to tune into that really inward, deep energy within ourselves. And that's what yoga opens up for a lot of us.
It really does. I mean, so many of us on our 22 for 22 party, because I shared that I met her through yoga and oh my, I want to do yoga. So they would add that onto their 22 list. So, I mean, even the people in this room right here on Patreon, maybe this is a, inspiring little segment of this. Like, if you guys are thinking about getting into it and you haven't been into it yet, like definitely give it a try. It is like life-changing. And what Sandy does though, I just gotta acknowledge one more thing. Like you definitely do the takeaway, with the proper music. Like you choose music that's not, doesn't have words necessarily. It's a vibe. And then you got the lights perfect and the way that you speak your voice. So it is like a big meditation experience. So thank you for helping that in my life and so many others. Sandy, you are a saint. You are a gem.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. I remember when they did that little challenge. I wonder if you had anything to do with that, where they're like, if you can do 3 or 4 classes in 1 week.
Oh yeah. The 4 classes in 4 weeks.
Yeah, that was hard. I signed up like, oh yeah, I'll give it a shot, but schedules and all that stuff. But once you make the commitment, I know it pays for itself in the way that you feel.
Yeah,
I love it.
What's your health?
Right. What is your favorite style? If you had to pick your favorite, type of yoga, would it be Bikram? Would it be Vinyasa?
That's a little bit of a trick question. I guess it would just depend because we're dynamic beings, my energy is dynamic, it's changing. So I guess I appreciate that there's different lineages and styles of yoga to turn to depending on what I need at the time. And I know that's a little vague, but I couldn't say that I love one more than the other. Bikram is the foundation of my practice. That's the first yoga style that I started. And that's a 90-minute class where every class, it's the same series that you do. So very meditative and really specifically designed for physical health benefits. I've seen that practice really help people heal injuries in their body and take control of their health. So that's a good foundational practice, and it's my foundation. But through Vinyasa, which is the type of yoga I trained in over the pandemic, Vinyasa is where we see more like downward facing dogs and flows where you move with each breath. Inhale to this, exhale to that. So a little bit different. And I love that as well, because with Vinyasa, the teacher creates the class each time. So I get to put a little bit more of my personality and, my teachings into that, with including meditation and breath work, or a lot of times it's just kind of channeling what's coming through at the time, where I just trust that I'm just a vessel for something bigger than me to speak through. And sometimes I'll say stuff in class, like during Savasana, and I'll say something and I'll be like, that was interesting. I wonder if that clicked with anyone.
Oh, all the time. You nail it.
Oh my gosh, how did you know? How did you know that's what I was going through? And I'm just like, it wasn't me, it was spirit, but good to know I'm alive.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm just kind of drawing in intuitively, what to say. So Vinyasa is cool in that sense that I get to, vary the class, and we change it up, every time with that. So I really love and appreciate all styles of yoga.
Yes, queen. Oh, I want to go to yoga right now.
I know, right?
But yeah, it sucks because, my son has baseball he has a sport every single night of the week right now. Like he's just in sports season. So like, I love that nighttime Vinyasa class that you always have, the 7 to 8 one, where it's dark outside. You come out, you're like, oh my gosh. And then you just have the
vibe out in that one.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. Oh my gosh. I want to learn so much more about yoga, but I want to move on to another exciting, specialty that Sandy has. As we mentioned earlier, she's an astrologist. And this is just something that just fascinates the heck out of me, because I wasn't necessarily raised learning about this. In fact, we were taught that we don't learn about this, but there's, just because of religion and the strict Christian background that I was raised in. But as I get older, I'm realizing I need a little bit of everything in my life. Like I need a dash of, like Kimia said it best, like I need a dash of this, a scoop of this, and a little bit of this to make me who I am, a spiritual being, not necessarily religious, but the things that you've brought up in our reading that you did with me were just so accurate and right on. It's like, how can this not be real? Like, this is incredible. I want to know about how you started getting into it, how you were trained, and then you can, go off and see.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny because I forgot that that's how we kind of clicked at first. But I just kind of randomly, like, Anna was coming in for classes, and then just one day, like probably kind of abruptly, I was like, "Hey, I'm reading your energy. You could use a reading." And I remember like, "What?" Like,
no, all the stuff I've been going through. Like I had lost a baby, and I was coming.
Remember that chapter?
Yeah, into yoga when I was pregnant, and then when I still had the baby in me that hadn't passed through yet. And that was like and then when it finally was out of me, I would just always continue to go back to yoga. So like it was such a safe, amazing place. And yeah, you were definitely picking up on that. So yeah,
I remember feel the vibe. Reading into your energy and just thinking, whatever this chick is going through, I can relate to it. And I feel like I may have tools that would resonate with you. There was some kind of energy resonance where I thought, I don't know. I just felt like maybe this could be another tool for your toolbox. So I'm so glad that you were open to that and that you allowed me to do that session with you because we went deep into your soul. And that's basically kind of what astrology is. So my background, I'm completely self-taught with astrology. I started studying about 15 years ago, just as a total hobby. I never thought this would be a part of my work ever. I just thought no one would ever even take it seriously. Like if I did this for work. And it was just something I just did for me for many years, but it's another huge piece of my healing journey and my self-development path because I use astrology very, very much throughout the year for the past several years, just especially when I was really sick with the chronic illness time. And then after that, when I realized, I need to get everything toxic out of my life. And I realized there was all these toxic relationships and family trauma and childhood stuff. And so I started doing a lot of therapy, but I used astrology in tandem with that to really learn my energy. So it's one of the best self-growth and development tools that I personally have used for myself. So as my studies progressed and I started to really learn a lot more about the energy, started reading energies in people. I became kind of that person for my friends. I was the energetic one that you call if you're going through something weird or you're just like, what are the planets doing? This is what's going on in my life. And so I'd look up my friends' charts, and kind of guide them through. And it just kind of came about very naturally, honestly. The more I just kind of talked about my healing journey and astrology being something that I love, the more I found that of all the offerings I have with yoga and massage and whatnot, that when I started talking about energies and astrology and like what was happening now and how that's affecting us, I noticed that people would really stop and I had their attention and they would listen and they wanted to know more. And being a salesperson in my previous life for many years, you start to notice what people tune into and what they don't. And I noticed with the energies, especially over the pandemic, right? Because we're all like, give me some answers. What is going on? I might not be able to see it, but I can feel it. Something is happening. So I just started talking more about energies, astrology, sharing it, similar to nutrition and my healing journey, just sharing it with anyone who would listen. And then started getting requests to do readings for people. So I thought, okay, well, sure. I guess I can try that. And then that picked up. And then I started weaving it into my astrology or into my yoga classes, excuse me. And now it's like the most exciting part of my work. It's really this developing part of my offerings, doing these soul coach sessions where we read people's astrology chart. And essentially with astrology, everyone has a birth chart. And a birth chart is just basically a snapshot of the sky, the exact moment that you were born. So regardless of your religious beliefs, it's really, that's it. It's really just based on nature and the sky and the planets. And, some people can choose to believe that the energies affect you. Some choose to not. For me, whether or not people believe it, they're still affecting me. So my curiosity and my Sagittarius energy that's like, seek answers, no more, expand, give me the bigger picture. I just thought, I know that my my health and my body and my emotions are moving with this ebb and flow. And if I could figure out what's driving that ebb and flow, maybe I could have some more control of my life, my body, and my growth. So that's why it resonated with me so much. But that birth chart everyone has that shows that snapshot of when you were born, that's basically your soul's blueprint. So it's just such a great tool beyond using it for, like prophesizing or horoscopes or predicting the future, which that can be fun too. But really, I feel it's so useful because everyone should know themselves. Like, imagine this world, how different it would be if everyone knew their energies, knew how to manage them, knew what their challenges were, knew what their strengths were, and knew what their soul mission was. That would change how this world would look. So by looking at your birth chart, you get more insight into that. And it's not dictating, who you're going to be or what's going to happen. Free will is a huge part of our path, but it just shows you the energies you're working with. And it just gives you more insight into your personality, the things that make you tick, the things that make you happy, the things that don't, and what you're here in this life to accomplish and to achieve. So just aligning us a lot more with a purpose, which I think a lot of us are looking for that, right? Like, what am I doing here? And what's my purpose? And how do I leave this place better than I found it? And also, why is it when this happens, I feel really unwell, but when this happens, I feel really good. How can I channel that? So it's just more insight into who we are on a soul level, which is why I really, really love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. That's another part of, so she mentioned in the yoga practice that when she's instructing, she'll say like, there's a full moon coming up or an eclipse coming or so this planet's coming into here. So I just want to, tell me a little bit more about just in general, maybe like what is maybe just even using right now, like the time of right now, April 28th or around this time, that's what date it is. In case you guys are listening to this podcast in the future, it's April 28th, 2022 right now. Like, do you have any information for us just to share? Yeah.
There's always lots of information coming through. I mean, I think that we all know just from our experience that energetically, like, times are wild in a sense, and they have been for quite some time. But essentially from right now until through the end of May, we're in eclipse season. So this is a really, really intense time. So eclipse seasons, they come every 6 months, and they're aligned with either a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, and they set a tone for a 6-month chapter of our lives. So eclipses are kind of a big deal because we're closing a chapter. We're reflecting on things that have changed for us in a big way over the past 6 months. And we're also starting a new chapter. So during this time, we can see a lot of shifts and changes in our life, sometimes sudden, sometimes it feels like removals, like things being taken from our life. But the universe is stepping in because all the universe ever wants is for us to be the best versions of ourselves, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes when life hands us crazy stuff. That is the universe's intention. So with eclipse, what needs to be removed is removed, and what needs to be shown to you of where you go next is revealed to you. And it can feel a little intense and heavy, and you might be feeling that now. And I would encourage everyone over the next 4-ish to 6-ish weeks just to be really kind to yourself, to take it easy if you can. Your body is literally just taking in new messages, new downloads, new energetics. And you might feel that show up, whether it's physically, I'm tired, or, oh man, my body hurts a lot, or my brain is mush. What am I doing? Noticing things with the people around you, shifts and changes. It's a really great time, whether you're versed in astrology or not, just to start noticing. And that's a lot of studying energies, is just being curious, noticing, and then just keeping track of that over a long amount of time and starting to really see patterns and trends. So during eclipse time, we want to notice what is coming up, what is being shown to us by the universe that needs to graduate, that we're done with, that's ready to be removed, to clear space for the next thing. And also conversely, to notice what is coming into my life, what wants to be worked on, what wants to be seeded over the next 6 months, sometimes even longer. Sometimes these eclipse cycles can affect the next year, 2. This eclipse cycle that we're in right now could potentially affect the next 2 years of our life. So it's a great time to just tune in and align yourself with energies, notice what's coming up for you, and start to be curious about that. Lean into that. This eclipse axis that we're on right now involves Taurus and Scorpio. So for a lot of us, it could involve either relationships, our values, which a lot of us have been really put through the ringer and worked when it comes to our values over the past over the past 6-ish months, and also over the past about 2 years, where we've all really been shown, kind of forced to be shown in some cases, what matters to us, what's important, what we need to live a good life, and what our values are. And then once we figure that out, we're kind of in this phase now of like, okay, I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what's important to me. I got to move forward, and I got to move towards that life because I've done all this work. And so now we're kind of in this phase of starting this new chapter towards, this future that we've envisioned for ourselves over the past few months based on this reworking of values, this kind of reworking of our heart, of how we move about with people and relationships, how we deal with our money, our finances, both personally and shared, and really just basically how we know what we individually need to live a good and happy life and how we find that for ourselves. So we'll see these themes coming up over this next month through May. So a really curious and cool time to notice regarding these themes, what's coming up for you, and just being curious with that and playing with that over the next several months.
Yeah. And what do you suggest, is journaling a great way to just kind of keep track of the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, and taking note, right?
Yeah, for sure. Journaling is a great practice. There's lots of things. Depending on each person, it'll be different. I really recommend for a lot of people, yoga and meditation is one of my starting ins, right, for studying the energies, because that starts with getting quiet and going within and noticing yourself. Because first we need to notice ourselves to notice what's going on around us. So getting quiet and learning how to give ourselves that nurturing downtime, because intuitive messages from the universe, they don't come in when you're at Target and it's loud, beep, 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 and you're going through your to-do list and you're on your phone. They come in when you get quiet, when you go within, when you tune into your breath and you remove the noise. So I would always recommend learning those types of practices to help with the energies. And then journaling is a great tool. What I like to do is I like to make it simple and just kind of have like one sentence per day where you can just kind of start to notice. So that way it doesn't become too daunting, because like my brain, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to journal every day. And then I'll make it too complicated. And if it's not 2 pages long, I'm like, oh, I failed. And then I'll skip a couple of days. So I feel like keep it easy, keep it achievable. And I just write like 1 to 2 sentences a day. And it's really cool because over time you can start to see with the patterns of the eclipses, with the patterns of the moons, or even if you're not in tune to that, just seeing in your own life, I see what's happening here. This relationship, I see what's happening. This career change, I see what the universe is trying to tell me. So writing these things down can be very helpful. I really just think meditation is just a great way to connect to a lot of these energies. And that's something that I want to start offering as well. So when I'm working on my coaching programs this summer for the September launch, I do want to start offering simple meditation programs, and not super advanced, not for the advanced yogi that's looking to find, different types of transcendence. I'm talking just for make it achievable for everyday normal people to be able to say, I have a meditation practice, and feel good about that, because it's so daunting to people. We get really like, I can't do that. I can't stop thinking.
Oh my gosh.
Not thinking, it's a lot easier than we make it.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because that was one of the subjects that we had with multiple other guests. Like, we know how important meditation is. Like, all the best people in the world do it. And they say that they meditate, but like, I've been trying to meditate for years. That's what Kimmy and I were saying. And then, everyone has their little tips and tidbits. Like, I've heard some people say like, it's like a car passing. So when you're sitting on the side of the road and a car is driving past, do you run and chase the car? No, you just observe it go past. Or somebody else said it's like a cloud. It will come into your existence, and then you just brush it away, like swipe. And so these are all like just ways that I'm trying to like learn how to meditate. But yeah, I'm still trying. I'm always trying. Help me, girl.
Girl, what do I do?
I know.
Well, I think the thing, and what I like to tell people and what I hope to teach people, is that it is simple. And meditation doesn't mean that you have to go hike to the top of a mountain and bring 20 crystals with you and say a chant in another language. It's really just as simple as taking 5 minutes to yourself with your breath. And you start small. And a lot of times we just say, well, that's not meditation, because our little human brain is like, no, meditation is something else. But all it is getting quiet and going within. And then over time with practice, just like yoga, right? The first time you go to a yoga class, you're not meditating. You're not like, this is so peaceful, I'm just in my own energy. You're like, what is she doing? What does warrior two mean? Where do I put my foot? Why is it so hot? But you keep going. And with practice, you start to find your way. And so meditation is very similar. And that's my best recommendation for anyone looking to start is drop the expectations, drop the shoulds of it should feel like this. It should look like this. I always like to say, don't should all over yourself. It's not serving you or anyone else. And just start with 5
I love
minutes.
that.
Yeah, that's a good one, right? But 5 minutes, that's it. Carve out 5 minutes in your day, even if it's just while you brush your teeth with your eyes open, that can be meditative too. But use that 5 minutes while brushing your teeth to notice every inhale and every exhale and observe the thoughts as they come. But just like the clouds, you couldn't grab them if you wanted to. They're not grabbable. So you just let them go and you come back to the breath. And then the mind will wander and you just come back to the breath. And you just do that over and over again. And then with practice, it becomes easier. But it's as simple as that. It's going within, it's watching the breath, and it's just bringing the attention back to the breath every time the mind wanders, with the understanding that the mind will wander. We're human. The point is to not stop thinking. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of give up. So, yeah. And then we think, oh, well, I can't do this. I can't stop thinking. My brain's too busy. But it's not about not thinking. It's just about bringing some mindfulness into your thoughts, into your breath. So start small. Start with little tasks that help you kind of zone out, or, that you can have 5 minutes, even if it's doing your makeup, vacuuming, cleaning, that can be super meditative. Yeah. And then from there you build, but find 5 minutes just to notice your breath and start from there. Make it easy, make it fun even.
Yeah. Maybe when I'm watering my plants, that's kind of been a nice little alone time that I get outside. I'll just be like, all my plants are all in a line and I'm outside. So I'm kind of checking that, self-care thing off my list, or my feet are actually touching grass and I'm outside in the open because I, work from home. And some days if I don't have to pick up my son from school, like I won't even leave my house all day. So just to be outside for that moment while I'm breathing and not overthinking. Yeah, that's refreshing. AF, for sure.
Plant you water, you do like 2 counts of square breath. And the next plant, you do 2 counts of square breath. Yeah. And that could be kind of like your starting point, make it as easy as you can. That's my best advice. Keep it simple.
Cool. Oh my God. I love it. I could just listen to you forever. I asked in the chat if anyone in here had any questions. Sharon, I want to unmute you and you can just ask it in person. Is that okay? This is Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Sandy. Do you do numerology?
I don't really practice much numerology. I find it fascinating. I've had, some stuff done before, but it's not something that I've ventured into quite yet. I'm not sure if I will one day. There's a lot of things to study, but I do know that it has resonated with me before. But I'm not an expert in it by any means.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's wondering what 11:11 means. I'm like, yeah, I know. I feel it too. I'm like, I always see 11:11, but then you're like, is it when the clock says 3:17, but you just don't notice because it's not that special of a number or something? Like, is it really showing up that much?
I'm sure it goes like a little bit both ways, right? Because like our human brains are funny, but I definitely get into the numbers. To me, numbers are like a big synchronicity, and I just view life and like my entire existence as a dialogue with the universe. But the universe doesn't have a voice like we do. So it speaks in different ways. So that's why whenever my numbers are 1s and 3s. So anytime it's like 11:33, or like I'll be in my car and it's like I have 133 miles left in my tank and the song is at 3:33, I'm always like, universe, you cute.
You cute.
I hear you. And I just like to think of it like in this joyful way of like, this is the universe communicating with me. So I dig the numbers quite a bit. I don't know if there's anything behind it, but I believe in it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. Jeff has a question as well. Do you want to ask her?
Hi. Is Sandy Beach your real name? Because that's like really awesome.
I know it is super awesome, actually. It's not my real name. It's a nickname. It was actually Sandy Like the Beach. It was a nickname that started back in school when I was young, and it kind of stuck. Back in the day, I must have not spoken clearly or something, because I swear everyone I met, they'd be like, "Oh, hi, my name is Jeff." I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Sandy," and they'd be like, "Hi, Bambi. Hi, Candy. Hi, Dandy. Nice to meet you."
Story of my life.
Naturally be like, "No, Sandy Like the Beach," and they'd be like, "Oh, Sandy Like the Beach," and then people just started calling me Sandy Like the Beach.
So that's her Instagram name, by the way, everybody. It's Sandy Like the Beach.
Yeah. So that name's been around for quite some time, but I always think maybe I should like change it legally and like make that my name, because that's a pretty fire name. Sandy
Sounds
Beach.
like a powerful, I mean, I would hire somebody who's named Sandy Beach.
Right.
It seems appropriate. I love it. Jeff, is that your real name too?
No.
No. He's Grumpy Cop, by the way. Jeff, that's his Instagram name in case you want to follow him. But he's not grumpy.
I dig it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Todd. I know. I see the 1, 2, 3, 4 too. Oh my gosh, Sandy, I'm like really inspired, and I really have this vision like where I feel like I need to elevate this, healing journey a little bit more. So I'm serious. Like I would love to be one of your first clients, even if if you're experimenting stuff as you get this, prepared for the big launch in September. Like I want to help you, because I want to support you, and I need the help. So look at me as a project.
For sure. We can start working together this summer and just like, tailor it to you. And then you can help me kind of figure out what I'm going to make from my packages. But that's the whole point I want to make packages for, is because I work with people one-on-one, and I feel like there's still support that's needed. There's still guidance that's needed. It's like after we do a reading or a yoga class, people are like, "That's great. You open something up. Now what?" And so I want to find or create a way to continue to work with people over time. So I can be your coach and your cheerleader on your ascension path, because I feel strongly that everyone has to do the work themselves. And I make that pretty clear to people. There's a lot of people that market themselves as like, "I have the answers for you." I don't, but I do know a lot of stuff, and I've been through a lot of stuff, and I'd like to offer tools to help you along your way, and coach and mentor you to do the work yourself in the way that's best for you, right? But being your cheerleader on the sideline.
Yeah. And just like, being held accountable in a way of just like, have you been doing this, or this is what you do, and almost like a checklist form. Like, I think maybe that's kind of the structure that I need. So I love that word coach, that word coach, I'm coachable, like put me in coach, like, let me take a shot at it. That's cool. And I know I'm not the only one in this room either. Oh, wait, before we finish, I have a few fun questions just to kind of wrap it up, because we like to do this with all of our guests.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just going to be silly podcast fun. One word, rapid fire questions. Okay, girls.
Okay.
So don't even need to like think too much about it. Just rapid fire answer. Okay. What was your first job?
Red Lobster.
What is your favorite month?
January.
Oh, I want to like ask you about every single answer, but it's rapid fire. Here we go. What's your favorite season?
Summer.
What's your favorite animal?
My dog. She's right here.
Oh, you have a little doggy. Who do you text the most?
My girlfriend.
Okay. What was your favorite subject in school?
Math.
Oh, yes, can tell. With your numbers and astrology stuff. What's your favorite dessert? Carrot balls.
I'd have to say fresh fruit, because I don't really eat much sugar or anything else like that.
Okay. And then what has been your favorite age so far in your life?
Ooh, that's a good one. How old am I now?
I know, I have to remember too.
Yeah, I would say this year that I'm on.
Which we will keep a mystery.
I'm 22, duh. Yeah, I would definitely say the year that I'm on has been the best.
Okay. And then Last two, what is your favorite Disney character?
Ariel.
Oh my God, me too.
I was
And-
to sing like her.
Right? That was my OG. That was my Moana of our generation.
Oh, yeah.
And then, do you believe in soulmates?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe there's just one, or is there multiple in our lives?
I believe there can be multiple, but I do believe there's soul connections for sure.
Oh, I love that. Ooh, that could be a topic that we talk about in another podcast. I would love to talk about soulmates and that potential. Oh my gosh. Okay. Everybody say thank you so much to Sandy. Round of applause for her amazing insight. You're amazing. You have been such a light in my life. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for me, whether you knew it or not. Before we even became friends, you've been helping me through so much just through your yoga. And now I'm so excited to see what the future holds.
Me too. Thanks for hosting me, girl. I really appreciate it. This was great.
Let's have another meetup at my house with friends sometime soon. I feel like we need a little mid-year check-in with one another. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, right? Make it accountable for everyone. I can ask everyone why I haven't seen them in yoga yet.
Right? I've been going. But yeah, okay.
Where's everyone else been?
I know. Bring your list and we'll highlight the ones that you didn't accomplish yet. Thank you so much for listening in out there in podcast land. Just keep jamming. We'll see you next time. Aloha. To follow Sandy Beach on Instagram, go to Sandy like the dot beach. That's at Sandy like the dot beach. Visit her at Bikram Yoga Kona. Thanks for listening, everyone. Aloha.